In terms of Ukraine and Russia, where does this whole thing go? How does this war ultimately end? What's going on with
What do you
these
think of the
meetings?
summit, also broadly speaking? Like,
Yes, I mean, these are all great questions. The outcome of Russia-Ukraine really hasn't changed that much since like the first time I started talking about it in 2022. Russia's going to keep the territory that it took. It's not going to give that territory up. There's a multitude of reasons why it wants the Donbass region, from resources to industrial investments that it made when it was the USSR, to the blood that stains the battlefields, to the fact that it needs a Russian victory. Like, there's all sorts of reasons why it's not going to give it the Donbass. And Putin understands statesmanship more than Zelensky. So Zelensky promised his people not only would he get back all of the original Ukraine, but he would get back all of the pre-1996 Ukraine. So it was an impossible promise. So no matter how this thing ends, if any piece of land remains in Russian territory, Zelensky loses, according to Putin. So he just wants that.
Yeah, okay.
Right? He wants that because he needs to rebuild an economy that's been built on a war machine for the last 3 years. Then he knows that he needs to have something to kind of offset. We're not going to be fighting a war, so how are we going to float the economy? Oh, it's going to be great if we're building infrastructure and basically resettling this new part of Russia.
Oh, okay. So it's not just for like PR or whatever. It's we need to rebuild this, and that's going to pump our economy.
Correct. That's going to hold us up. That's how we got through World War II, too. Our economy blew up in World War II because we were creating weapons of destruction.
Yeah.
But then we won. The only reason we didn't go into a massive recession is because now all of a sudden we could go into the lands that we conquered and build them up too. Put them in debt, force them to use our labor, right?
Who do we do that with?
Who did we do that with?
Yeah.
Germany, Japan, Britain, Poland, France,
Really?
all of them.
Is this common knowledge?
Well, I don't know if it's common knowledge, but if you look at history critically, you'll see it's all there. We just never got taught that in school.
Yeah, what we got taught is because World War I, we were so hard on Germany, they went into a depression, and that's what allowed Hitler to take power.
Yep.
And some people on X are very upset that he lost. Then we were much nicer at the end of World War II when we made sure that it would never happen again.
So you've heard the saying that history is written by the
victors. Yeah, okay.
We wrote that history. Japan's culture was completely different prior to the end of World War II. Everything we know about Japanese culture now is from American abuses of the Japanese. The reason they're workaholics, the reason they smoke to stay awake and drink to go to sleep, the reason that they
sexual repression,
and then they shame themselves and they shame their children if they don't get a good enough to. All of that is American.
What are the abuses? Like, I'm not even making a joke. What can you give me an example of like how you do that?
So when we were rebuilding Japan, we basically indentured Japanese to rebuild their own country at our pace, according to our direction and our demands.
Wow.
So they didn't get to rebuild the way that they wanted to. They didn't get to rebuild buildings according to their architecture. They built what we wanted them to build. And a big chunk of what they built was American invested money in buildings, infrastructure, and manufacturing base.
but they got baseball. So they get it with the bed.
Yeah.
Man,
There you go.
if they only knew Americans are fat and lazy, they wouldn't work so well.
This podcast goes to Japan. You know what I mean?
But then you look at the Japanese economy now, and you're like, well, in a way, their rebuilding efforts were successful.
Yeah. And that's the argument.
Economically.
That's the counter argument for sure. Right? You look at Europe, who are Europe's two strongest economies?
Germany
And France.
France. And
we
UK
rebuilt them both.
pre-Brexit would have been UK, right?
We built all three of those countries on forced debt, on loans, on the outsourcing of American manufacturing, and they became the first markets that we spread to when we started creating new products and financial products and
There's even
telecommunication products.
a version of this kind of story in like Central America with like Nicaragua and like the United States sort of working with different leaders, potential dictators, and deposing them, setting up our government systems, getting them into debt in some capacity, giving them our funding to then support all those issues.
So who is the fastest growing economy in the world? I'm sure you guys know this, even if all you do is follow X. Fastest growing economy in the world?
China.
China.
Okay.
How did China grow so quickly?
Gimme.
The same way that we grew after World War II.
This is Belt and Road.
When we stuck our heads so deep in the Middle East for 20 years that all we were doing was checking under every rock for terrorists, we were the only ones fighting that fight. The whole time that we were doing that, China was pulling from our World War II playbook, and they were working with despots. They were creating leases and loans with third world countries that knew they couldn't pay them back, exporting Chinese workers, exporting Chinese technology, Chinese telecommunications that was being stolen from the United States and then remade in the Chinese brand. Like that's how they built their economy in 20 years. We looked away, they were small. We looked back, they were huge. Right? And that's how they did it. So the world still works the same way. The reason the United States sees China as such a threat has nothing to do with Taiwan. It has nothing to do with Chinese bombing America. It's because China has literally copied our playbook and they've got a 20-year head start in the last 25 years on how to do it. Right? We just as another example, the United States became really, really wealthy when we devised telecommunications and financial products, because now these are not tangible products, right? This is something where you can service 100,000 people from a single satellite, and you can charge all of them $200 a month, right? That's scalable wealth. That's not building a widget or creating a can of tuna, right? China did the same thing. They were like, oh, look at how America's growing by creating financial and telecommunications. So let's spy on the United States, steal their industrial secrets, create those things here in China, tweak them a little bit, and then sell them cheaper to the same markets, to South America, to Africa, to Europe. And then let's also borrow from America this idea of switching cost. Do you guys all have Apple? Does anybody have something other than Apple?
Apple.
Even if you don't like Apple, you'll probably never get off of Apple because it's too difficult to get off of Apple.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think Huawei did? It's too difficult to get off of Huawei. So we're going to build this internal switching cost where no one's going to get off of our technology, because to get off of our technology means it hurts. There's a data transfer that's complicated. You're going to lose data for sure. And whatever you're getting on is going to be more expensive. So do you really want to get on an American system, or do you want to stay on a Chinese system? Do you want an American electrical vehicle or a Chinese EV?
Not even a fucking question.
Do you want an American telecommunication? Do you want an American cell phone or a Chinese cell phone?
I'm not even saying this as a joke. When I saw the Chinese EVs, I was like, we're cooked. We're done. We're number 2 now. And I don't know if that's remotely intelligent, but that is truly how I felt.
So that is China. China is not innovative, and they've never claimed to be. But they steal and they promote and they drive and they play the long game. And that's the problem. That's the problem. And that's why economists continue to predict that China will be at parity or near parity with the United States by 2030. Because you can't fight a war over telecommunications. You can't fight a war over medical devices. You can't invade that country because they stole your code for building a battery for a car. It doesn't work.
Is there any chance we can catch up / reestablish our lead?
There's always the opportunity. There's always
What do
a
you
chance.
see? How do you see that happening?
I don't know how, or else I would say how. But what I do trust is American innovation, and I do trust American entrepreneurial spirit. And those are things that we have that have gotten us out of worse situations in the past.
Okay, so we have been in worse situations.
CIA believes that all people are born with a spy secret superpower. For some people, that means they can win deals. For others, they can spot liars. Some can even seduce lovers. I built a free 3-minute test to help reveal to you exactly what your secret hidden superpower is. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, take the test, and start using your spy superpower to stay ahead of 99% of people.
In the past, let's say
the Great
50
Depression
years.
was pretty shitty.
Let's
We
say
got through
50
that.
years.
So 50 years takes us back to 75.
Maybe even we could go World War II if we want. I guess Soviet Union maybe was worse than this at some point.
And actually, it's a great point,
Cold
because
War?
the only reason we won the Cold War is because the Soviet Union imploded. And we didn't know it was going to implode, but it imploded.
And you see that potential with China?
That's also the potential here too.
Yeah.
But yes. So there's always room for something unexpected to happen. But when it comes to what we can do, like inside the United States, you have so many people who are small business owners. You have so many people who are engineering their own future. You guys are all engineering your own future. Do any of you come from a family wealthier than you?
No.
Nope.
Like, that's fucking crazy. It's hard to do that in
My
China.
parents are fucking poor. Losers. Fucking losers.
Not to sound like unpatriotic, but why is it such a bad thing if China becomes number 1?
No, it's a good question. It's not patriotic, but it is a good question.
So I see a lot of things, and I'll let you decide whether or not they're good or bad. You have a child. Any other children?
No.
What language is your child going to learn?
English,
What other language is she going to learn?
likely Spanish.
If
Inshallah. Inshallah.
if China is a superpower by 2030, 5 years from now, guess what your son is gonna have to speak?
Likely Mandarin.
You don't get a choice anymore. Your child has to speak more than one language.
That is the biggest complaint about Americans is most of us only know one language. What's wrong with us knowing two?
So when one country gets
So
wealthier,
tired of these fucking Europeans bragging about speaking all these stupid languages.
when one country gets wealthier, the wealth, it's not like, I know the United States prints money, but generally speaking, wealth is limited. So if one country is getting wealthier, what's happening to the wealthy country? It's getting poorer.
Yeah.
So that's also part of the parity,
Potentially, yeah.
right? So now you've got what we experience in our day-to-day life. We don't have to have, not everybody has to have a gun. Not everybody has to have, has to worry about being robbed in a grocery store. Not everybody, everybody can own a car. Like we have all these luxuries that we don't even realize. And those start to go away as another country steals the wealth, earns the wealth that you otherwise would have had, right? Our roads get worse, their roads get better. Our rate of accidents happening on construction sites goes up, theirs goes down, right? That's the kind of thing that comes with wealth. And you have to learn their language too, because if it's 5 or 7 years from now and China's approaching parity with the United States in terms of GDP, your comedy skits are going to happen in Chinese too.
I'm not even saying this is a joke again. I think AI will be to the point where we all can understand and speak any language without even learning.
And hopefully that's the case, because who might win the AI race?
I don't think it's a might. I think it's a who is winning very clearly right now.
So that's just kind of, these are the questions that you have to be asking yourself, right? Do you want to save your money in US dollars or in renminbi? Do you think everybody else in the world wants to be using US dollars or renminbi? Because as other people move to renminbi, your US dollars actually get worth less in your pocket every day until you switch to renminbi. And now all of a sudden you're an American with a savings account in a Chinese bank.
Everything you're saying that could be happening is happening.
That's absolutely happening.
Roads are getting worse. Americans are getting poorer. We cannot afford to live as much. China seems to be doing better.
Wealthy people are sending their wealth abroad. They don't trust the U.S. market to protect their wealth. They're buying houses abroad.
Even Bitcoin is a form of that.
Yeah.
It might not be a country you're trusting more, but you're not trusting the American dollar as much as you're trusting Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is at an all-time high, and the dollar is lower than I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all these things that you're saying, and this, I can be very fatalistic and pessimistic, but they seem to be happening, and it does concern me. And Andrew always said this: America's not going to be a superpower forever. When China takes over, you're going to miss the American superpower. And I'm not defending everything they've done by any stretch. I just think a Chinese superpower would be far less sympathetic, far more, we need to do things our way, than even whatever we think of America. Which is a thing that, to me, is frightening.
Now, I'm curious because, like, I think there's a fatalistic view where it's like, oh, China's going to become the monopolar, global power, and they're going to destroy America. It seems like the reality would be like, oh, we would just become Spain in the 1700s, or we'd become France like in the late 1800s, or we become England. You know what I mean? Like there would be these empires that take over the entire world that are colonial, and they're able to get resources and riches from everywhere. They have these fierce militaries, and then are no longer imperial. They're no longer the monopolar power. So is it possible that America would just also have that happen in some capacity?
Quality of life, people seem happier there in England now than they do theoretically.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a siesta every once in a while.
Yeah.
So I think the way to answer your question is that I agree that would be what it looks like in the short term, because China moves slowly, right? So we're reaching parity slowly over the course of 30 or 50 years, which is pretty slow if you think about it, right? The United States basically rose to superpower-ness in like 7 years.
Yeah.
China's doing it, taking the 35-year route, right, to get to near parity. After they reach that parity, they're going to tip. It's going to tip, and because the systems and processes that they're using are going to continue to work, and the systems and processes that we don't have to compete with that will continue to not work. Well, then after the parity switches, and after China is in control of government policy, and China is in control of military spending, and China is in control of whatever else, because we are just trying to do whatever they do just to keep up with them. When their intelligence services have utterly penetrated all of ours, now all of a sudden you have to worry about the Chinese government SOE model, the state-owned enterprise model. That's why they don't have entrepreneurism, because as soon as somebody has a good idea, the government steps in, takes it, and then says, you can still make a bunch of money, but it's going to be a government-owned business. They're going to start doing that here in the United States too. They're going to start finding anybody with a good idea, and they're going to come in and be like, we can buy you for like 12x what you're worth. And everybody's going to go take that deal, and now they're going to control innovation, and they're not going to have to steal it from us. They're going to have it themselves. And then that parity just gets wider and wider, right? They have the opportunity to unravel the United States because they have spent so much time learning about our flaws, and we sit around defending our flaws. I don't think it has to be fatalistic, but when you look at the probability curve, that's a fat part of the curve, that there's going to be this flow. And if we don't find some way to counterbalance it, it's going to get nasty. So there's still a counterbalance. We could still go to war. We could still do the thing that doesn't make sense because enough people are afraid of China, right? And that is a very real possibility.
No, that makes sense.
Or isolationist legislation that basically says you can't sell your company to China. Like, would that be something that would just prevent that delta?
That's what Trump's trying to do with some of his policy now, with the tariffs and with trying to bring manufacturing back on shore. It's not going to work because we're not built for it. We're not. It might be great to say we're not going to do business with these Chinese firms that need our chips, but then who's going to buy the chips? It just doesn't.
Well, the tariffs are one thing, but to just say like, oh, if you're trying to sell your company, you cannot sell it to China specifically.
China's going to go through a cutout. That's what they did. They basically own the Panama Canal by going through cutouts and having shell companies that are owned by the Bahamas.
That was my first thought.
Yeah, I guess there
why
is
are
a
we
way.
the only superpower that is worried about China?
We're the
why?
only superpower.
Well, why doesn't Russia care that like China is just like blowing by them?
Because the whole world hates us.
Yeah, they have a line.
Everybody in the world hates the United States.
Okay.
Even the people who claim to love us hate us, right? Because but we're convenient. We're a convenient benefactor. We're a convenient market for selling goods. We're a convenient source of protection so that you don't have to spend money on your military because the United States is spending money on their military. Like, we're a convenient solution to a lot of countries, but they don't like our ideology. They don't like that we're all fat. They don't like.
I mean, just a headshot. I don't know. It's like what they did at JFK. Remember? Like, it's like,
So they're good, man. They're good.
They're good,
They're
bro.
good.
I mean, bang.
Wait, but I doubt. I doubt Putin. I doubt Putin would be okay with Russians having to speak Chinese in 10 years.
He would be okay with America getting destroyed.
Right.
Oh,
The enemy
then-
of my enemy is my friend.
It's like how
And then
America's cool with the Stalin. You know what I mean? We're like, yeah, dude, Stalin, we're boys because we both hate Hitler. And then after that, it's like, we'll figure that out later.
We're
Yeah,
cool
I
with
think
Israel
that's
because Israel hates Iran,
got it.
right?
Yeah.
There are no permanent friends or enemies, only permanent interests. So that's the ebb and flow, almost like anybody who's ever held a bowl of water, right? It just moves back and forth. That's when the United States is in power. We've got the big arc of water on our side, but then eventually it's going to go to the other side.
and then they will hate China in 20 years or 30 years or whatever. But right now they hate America, and anybody that can take us out is a threat.
So you said, and sorry to bring us back, you said with Russia, they are taking areas so then they can like kind of bump up their economy and like build this area up. So is that your theory or this is just understood?
No, I would say that's among intelligence watchers.
Okay.
Like we have been watching how this is playing out. We see where it's going. There was a period where the intelligence attitude was that Russia was going to continue across the southern coast, go into Moldova, do the same kind of activity in Transnistria, and then build like a wall along the Black Sea. Well, then the United States and Europe got really involved in the counterattack, and Russia had to refocus its moves. So intelligence is tough because people think intelligence is when you know the facts. That's not what intelligence is. Intelligence is specifically about answering the thing you don't know, and you answer it with probabilities. If you knew, it would be a fact. It wouldn't be intel.
Got it. Okay.
Right? So nobody knows exactly how it's going to happen or what's going to happen next or how it's going to play out. We're all guessing at probabilities based off of the indicators that we see in the situation.
So it's like if we allow, or not allow, but if they end up keeping the land that they have right now, isn't that just like telling them, hey, this is okay, you can just keep doing this?
Correct.
So shouldn't we not? Like, shouldn't Trump not let them keep it?
If Trump
Like,
cares
you don't
about
think he
whether or
cares?
not Russia feels like they can take former Soviet Union satellite states in Europe. Right? Arguably and Trump has it right on NATO here because he is correct. That doesn't threaten us. It threatens Europe.
Okay.
And if Europe wants to protect itself against Russia, all it has to do is buy more weapons from us and buy more training from us. And we've been giving you weapons and giving you training, and we've even been putting our troops in Europe to help you without charging you. And as a result of that, NATO has been able to not spend more than 3 or 4% of their national GDP, of each country's GDP, on the military for many, many years, even though they agreed to spend 5 or 6% on GDP. Right? So now Trump's coming in. He's like, you guys, if you want to be safe against Russia, fucking spend more money.
Yeah, I think Poland
We'll still be there, but spend more
Poland's like
money.
the only exception.
Yeah, because Poland has a real axe to grind with Russia.
Right. And also like a geographical sort of disadvantage, it seems like.
Proximity, exactly. So that's really what's happening down there. And if the Ukraine territory thing is resolved, it also kind of undermines Zelensky's hopes of remaining there as a leader, because he couldn't fulfill the promise. Maybe he's going to get credit for bringing peace, but for sure he's going to be a target of Russian services that are now that much closer to Kiev all the time, which gives Russia the opportunity to make a whole propaganda issue out of Zelensky.
It is a really discouraging thing when you think about how many people are just throwing thousands of lives at them staying in power or whatever selfish interest they have. It's like a really fucking crazy.
It is just kind of the case, though. Like, this is just humans,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I guess you
Shit is
just
still
think.
fucked up.
No, it
you
is,
think-
but
you
like,
ju- you think you're so far past. Game of Thrones was obviously fictitious time and place, but we understood that kind of thing to be in hundreds of years in the past. It is today, and it's never going to stop, probably, to your point, until
Yeah.
robots take over. But it's just a crazy thing.
yeah.
It's still funny. It's still funny. If there's one thing I've learned hanging out with comedians,
No, it's
like, you guys find the humor in all of it.
we tried to, and X helps. And here's a question I have: why don't we just fuck China up right now? But we got it. I've had this thought
It's a
before.
very
Of
good
like,
question.
if they're coming up so hard, but their military is not our military, let's go fuck them up.
Sleeper cells all over America.
Maybe.
He believes this, and there could be validity to it. We laughed at it at first, but he believes every Chinatown is a sleeper cell in America.
The thing
Or
is,
in the world.
so sleeper cells, we have found in the intelligence community that sleeper cells are largely ineffective, because when you take somebody out of a shithole place and you put them in the United States,
Have you been to Chinatown? WTF excluded. Kind of a shithole place.
but like America gets in your veins, right?
Yeah.
Like, clean water out of your faucet gets in your veins, and constant access to like cheap Kit Kats gets in your veins. Like
Yeah.
you get used to this.
Yeah.
And this is not what it's like anywhere else. in the
Believe me, I
world.
know about the Kit Kats, dude. I know. But yeah, so to me, this seems like so many wars are just propaganda. Why wouldn't there be? I'm not advocating for it, but I am curious why it hasn't happened. A propaganda war against China. Well, it seems like all politicians don't speak that unfavorably about China. Biden was, I think, spoke of them as an ally. Trump a little bit harsh with them, and not really. Why wouldn't there be a propaganda war against this rising power that is an imminent threat? Let's just act now.
It's a complicated issue, because one of the things that's always been neat about conflict in the past is that the aggressor was not we were not engaged in any kind of economic significance.
Oh, yeah. We buy everything from them.
Yeah, Chinese and United States markets are terribly entwined.
And they need us.
They need us, we need them. What they need from us is for us to keep spending money. What we need from them is for them to keep producing. If we rip that apart, both countries are going to be in like a leaky bucket. We're not going to have a market that where demand is getting met. And then they're not going to have an audience to sell their stuff to. And that's when that happens, it's kind of going to necessitate conflict. Maybe not with each other, but with countries nearby.
There's also something to say that I've seen like different pro-Chinese like Reddit accounts or even like subreddits or Twitter pages that would suggest that we are being fed anti-Chinese propaganda.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't know if this is the case. I'm just seeing stuff, but it'll be like
Just tell us what your mom
the idea.
said. Come on.
My mom actually doesn't touch this one, but like if like the idea of like social credit scores, I've heard people be like, "Dude, that's not real." And then
totally real.
And then people here are like, "It is real." And then people over there are like, "It's not really real." Or like sweatshops, things like that. Like all the negative things we hear about China, there will be people online that are like, "That is just not really."
If Chinatown is a shithole, Just think about what China must be. Right?
Oh my god!
I have yet to see anything anti-Chinese that isn't true. I have yet to see it. Maybe it's out there.
Have you been to China?
I've been to China.
Let's get some propaganda. Let's get some racist
yeah,
pictures and just be like, what do you think of this?
Please find something. Find a Chinese person eating a little white baby or something. Please. So that I can at least say that that's not true.
I'm with this.
Yeah.
Can you find some of the pro-China stuff if possible? Mark, maybe you can help them out, but I want to see what they're saying.
Mark
It's like-
GPT.
If you go to the Sino subreddit, Sino, I don't know what to make of it. I look at it and I'm like,
What is Sino? Is that
Sino,
Chinese?
Sino.
Reddit? Sino.
Sino is the term that you use when you talk about fucking
they pronounce it Sino.
yeah.
It's a linguistic barrier.
What is Sino?
Sino is the term that means Chinese whenever you're connecting a Chinese element with another foreign element. It becomes Sino-Thai relations,
Okay.
right? Instead of U.S.-China relations or Thai-China relations.
So they'll just post like memes and different things. I don't know who these people are, where this is coming from, but it'll just be interesting. Where it's like, this guy being like, "Yo, we can protest when the police murder us. We're allowed to protest," and China's like, "Your police murder you?
Your police murder you?
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh,
That doesn't happen in China. I have a hard time believing that.
That
doesn't
happens
happen
all
in China.
over
Yeah.
Western China.
Of course, I assume that these
yeah.
governments do
Of
bad
course.
things.
Wasn't that
But
what Tiananmen Square was?
yeah, don't
That's
look
what
it up.
Tiananmen
Never
Square
happens.
was.
Ran over with a fucking tank, bro. What are we talking about?
But again, this exists, and I find it interesting. I don't know what it means.
Yeah, I think these are just crazy people, man. Like,
Well, I'm also looking at the handles. The handles are interesting handles.
I haven't found a lot of people on a subreddit that I don't think are crazy.
The question is, are these
Looks-
people?
Those handles look
Or are
like
they
bots.
bots? So this is another thing you
Look at
talk
these
about a lot.
handles.
A lot of this is probably bots and propaganda and just like disruption.
I wonder where it's coming from.
Oh, that was another one. Like they're talking about the Uyghur genocide, and if you go through this whole subreddit, they'll be like, "Oh, there was no Uyghur genocide."
Uyghurs are very real.
Well, that's what
Dealing
I
with Uyghurs is
assume.
very real.
I've met a Uyghur. He wants. He's DM'd us. He's a fan of the pod. Been in my shows, and he's like, "It's fucked. It's horrible. What's happening there."
Right. So you hear these things, but then there's people saying that's actually completely not true. So you're like, all right, well, what is actually
So
happening?
now let's fast forward to what happens when we have parity. Right now, we don't even have parity. And Mark's confused by what's real and what's
Yeah.
not real.
Yeah, you a sucker, bro.
No. I think he's. I don't think he's an example of who's confused. I think he's representing a subset of the population that is genuinely confused. As we continue to reach parity, that is going to just go even further.
Yeah.
And have even more reach.
You're gonna buy one electric car and be like, dude, these Chinese guys are sick, bro.
they can buy me
They
right now.
didn't do nothing wrong.
They can buy me right.
Yeah, no, they're Chinese. Their electric vehicles are better.
Yeah.
They're also a horrible government, and we should fuck them up right now while we have a chance.
So I think that's
Akash Singh, guys. Akash Singh.
vote Akash.
What's up?
The challenge here is you can almost see if you look at the world like a game board, like a board game, you can actually start to feel why China hasn't taken Taiwan. Because if China takes Taiwan and the US gets involved, all of a sudden we are so close to a war between the United States and China. And Xi Jinping must know that where he's dominant is only in China,
This guy's good, huh?
right?
I wish we had a leader like this guy. He seems like he.
Did you
gets
see
it.
his aura in the
What?
propaganda photo? What?
In terms of playing chess, this guy's good.
Akash, he's a dictator. He's like, bro, this guy's fine. How do we... Yeah, Akash posted this.
Do nothing. Win. That's awesome.
I'm just saying he's a geopolitical maneuverer.
Sure.
He knows
Yeah,
what he's doing
yeah.
in that sense. He's very good. We have someone who isn't maneuvering quite as deftly, is all I'm saying. So is that the biggest threat to the U.S.? Because I want to ask you,
Yeah.
what's the biggest threat? It's
Without
China.
a doubt, it's China. When it comes to all things American, all things everyday life, it's China. China, our economy crashes without them. They're the biggest military threat. They're penetrating us across intelligence services, military services. They steal our industrial secrets. They copy our stuff. They actively plot with our allies and with our enemies against us. Like they are, and that's not my opinion. That's like documented in the DNI's annual report of geopolitical threats.
Is there something to be said for America's geographic location?
Yeah.
I mean, we have water on both sides. We have generally hospitable neighbors. China doesn't seem to have like that many bases set up, militaristically near us. Like obviously there's intelligence operations. And not to say that China doesn't have their own slew of issues as far as like population, innovation, natural resources, etc. Like in our defense, we have certain things that are moving for us where even if all things stay equal, we still have advantages.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying we don't have advantages. We do absolutely have advantages, and one of the big advantages is the fact that we are a country that's unified from coast to coast, and that our northern and southern allies are so heavily entrenched with our everything that they're not going to turn against us, right? So that's a huge benefit for us. China doesn't have that. It's got neighbors that'll turn in an instant. It's got a
China and India
coastline.
is tense.
It's
And
got-
I think that's
There's
a massive
that, like-
opportunity for America. I'm not even just saying that as an Indian. And I think that might be why they are close with India and Pakistan, maybe.
Yeah.
Theoretically, is like these both could be useful against China. So why don't we just be cool with both of them?